to Sakshi TV's special immigration show with attorney Ms. Prashanthi Reddy from the law offices of Prashanthi Reddy PLLC. Please note that Sakshi TV now has 3 immigration shows every week. On Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. EST with attorney Ms. Prashanthi Reddy in English, Thursday at 5:30 p.m. EST with attorney Chand Parvatnini, and on Friday at 6 p.m. with attorney Bhanu Lindra. Please tune in to ask your questions. If you're an immigration attorney and would like to join our special shows, please email us at usa@sakshi.com or call 866-725-7441. Before we begin the show, please note that the information provided on this show is not a legal advice and is for general informational purposes only. Sakshi TV or its agents will not be responsible for use of information. If you need specific legal advice, please contact the attorneys directly. Ms. Reddy needs no introduction, but if you need consultation, please log on to readyesq.com for contact information. And when you connect with them, don't forget to mention Sakshi TV. From the beginning, readyesq.com has put a wealth of free information and online tools in the hands of immigrant community and for the benefit of US employers. The readyesq.com site provides you with latest and cutting-edge information on US immigration law and policies explained in terms you don't have to be a lawyer to understand. Today we're going to discuss about immigration updates. We will continue the knowledge session along with the news and updates on latest immigration followed by Q&A. Before we get into the topic, you can call us on the numbers displayed on the screen for questions related to immigration and also ask for tips. Hi, Ms. Reddy. How are you doing?
Good, Tony. How are you?
Very well, thank you. So I think we have to get straight into the topic because we have a lot of updates to cover.
Yes.
So, what would you want to start off with, Ms. Reddy?
So I thought we'd just, for this session, we just talk about some of the immigration updates for the month of August and July, and generally some updates for the first half of this year. There's some important updates, some things that have happened on various topics, so I thought it would be best to talk about that. The first and most important is an update on the non-immigrant visa appointments in India.
Right.
So because of the non-availability of visa numbers and because the demand has far outpaced the available visa slots, it's resulted in a shortage of available slots. And we know for some visas it's taking about a year and a half to get an appointment. So certain individuals, because of that, have taken advantage of this and they have booked visa appointments in bulk. And then they're charging a fee. You know how innovative we are. Indians can be very innovative. So this is one of the innovations they've come up with. Always game the system, always try to find some loophole until they get bit and everybody else gets affected by it, right?
So I think find challenges to challenge a challenge.
Exactly. And and it doesn't work out finally, and innocent people get hurt.
Right.
That's what these scamsters don't understand. Always, they're to make a quick buck. But so certain individuals have taken advantage of the situation and taken up all the appointments in bulk. So that's why there are no appointments. Also, part of the reason why there are no appointments available. And then what they're doing is then they're charging the visa applicants a slot. They're selling them time slots. So this type of abuse of the system is, they found out about it, thankfully. I'm sure it's been going on for a while if they found out about it, because nobody ever.
But that's also caution for a lot of our viewers who are not aware of such things.
Correct. So finally they found out about it and it's being handled. There's some anti-fraud scheduling measures that have been taken up by the Department of State on the Indian consulate front. And Don Heflin, the Minister Counselor for Consular Affairs in India, recently addressed the issue with reference to these agents misusing the system for personal gain. And one measure the U.S. consulate has added is to the online system is the CAPTCHA, C-A-P-T-C-H-A test, to prevent bots from taking the available appointments in bulk. They don't do this manually. Obviously, they do it through bots. And if they have that CAPTCHA test, then you know that it's not a bot. They can verify that, and if that they don't pass the test, then they don't, let the system move forward.
Since all of this is happening, then how can one find how can somebody book an NIV appointment in India, Ms. Reddy?
Yes, that's a problem. So that's why they are introducing these measures so
Right.
that it doesn't happen. So the consulate in India will no longer be announcing also specific dates for new appointments. Instead, and they're having this test so that the bots don't, somebody doesn't program a bot to take up all the visa slots. So they're also advising if you have any knowledge of anyone doing that, then you should report it to the fraud unit at mumbaif@state.gov. So they've given Mumbai fraud at state.gov. So that's mumbaif@state.gov, so that you can report if you hear of any such instances where people are reserving slots and then selling them. So that's something important. That's an important update for people to know that this is happening. This fraud is happening with the consulates. And the best way to make an appointment is still go to the CGI federal website, Consulate General India, and look for available non-immigrant visa appointments there. Hopefully, with the implementation of these new online fraud detection measures, there should be shorter wait times and better access to available appointments at least. So let's see what happens. We know that the non-availability of visa numbers is not just because of this fraud that's going on. I'm sure it has taken up some of the visas, but the main problem is still lack of funds, lack of resources, and a huge backlog of visa requests because of COVID and etc. So, we have multiple problems. So let's hope they get resolved soon. They have been implementing measures to expedite cases, such as not requiring interviews, doing online interviews via video call in some places I've heard. So let's see. I think the best way to do this is to just exempt interviews for some certain cases, which is what they're doing. But of course, it's not uniform throughout the consulates, and neither is it uniform throughout the countries. So every country, every consulate decides what they want to do and what policies they want to follow. So making it uniform also can help in expediting, this visa unavailability. So that's about what's happening at the consulates. Another update is the premium processing. They've extended it to some other visa types. For those who don't know, premium processing is available for a lot of non-immigrant visa petitions, such as H1s, L1s, I-140s. That's an immigrant petition.
But did
So
they
immigrant
raise
as well
any
as,
cost now because of the situation for the premium processing?
so actually it'll help, right? Because they're increasing the number of
Right.
visas the number of types of visas that will be available for premium processing. But just to go back to what premium processing actually is, premium processing is pretty much you pay a premium of 2,500, used to be less, and USCIS guarantees that within 30 days or within 45 days, depending on the type of visa, they will process the case. Earlier it used to be 15 days, so they've changed that. But within that is what premium processing is. They will premium process your case if you pay them an additional amount of money. And the Biden administration has said in its first year of office itself that they should include more kinds of visas in this premium processing, including EADs especially, or those other cases that are heavily backlogged. And USCIS has said it will implement this guidance from the White House in a phased manner. They haven't done it. This is the first thing. This is phase 2, and they're doing it just for types of visas that are not used much. So now this phase 2, they've implemented it for EB1 cases, multinational executives, or L1s. Multinational executives, EB1s. That is people who
So
are
when did the
available.
phase 2 start, Ms. Reddy?
Beginning of August.
Right, so it's already begun.
Correct. So EB1s, multinational executives, manager petitions received on or before July 1, 2021. and EB2 national interest waiver petitions received on or before August 1, 2021. So national interest waiver, that is self-petition. People are petitioning by themselves because they have some exceptional ability because of which, them getting a green card will be in the national interest of the United States, those kind of cases. And your multinational executive manager kind of positions, they have agreed to expand premium processing to those cases. So that's the news about premium processing. Also, they've updated USCIS has updated their website, and they have created a neat little new section for people who are in STEM, resources for them. All those people working in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, how they can get a work visa and how they can get a green card. Now, no new work visa categories or new non-immigrant work categories or immigrant work categories have been added. They're just putting everything neatly packaged into one place. And so they just, whoever is interested in going and looking at it, they can. So under non-immigrant category, they have F1 OPT, they have H1, they have O1, TN, and the L1 visa. Under the immigrant visa categories, they have EB categories and national interest waiver categories. So employment-based, EB1, EB2, EB3, and like I said, national interest waiver categories. Another update is the 60-day grace period. Now, since the COVID started, they have been implementing a measure whereby people who have an RFE, request for further evidence, or motions to reopen, anything that has a deadline, you have a 60 days grace period. In addition to the last date that you have to submit the application, they have added 60 days. So we thought they're not going to, they're basically extending that provision every 3 months. So we thought that they will not extend it further, but they have extended it further to October. So that's good news. Any new RFEs that you get, you still have a 60 days grace period over the last day. And another measure that they have implemented, they've extended and now they have made permanent, is that the signatures on applications can be photocopies of signatures. So they don't need original signatures anymore. So that's a great relief because, especially for attorneys, asking clients to mail in the forms with the original signatures is not needed anymore. They can just sign and email us the forms, and then you can just print that out and send it out. Now, along with this, if they also implement online fees, then that'll be a great help, and we don't need clients to FedEx anything. But right now, we're still stuck with clients FedExing us the USCIS checks. So that's still there, but they are saying that they will move to online payment as well. And because of that, also, and this is another update, they used to accept one fee for several applications if you're filing several applications together. But now they want separate fees for each application, so they want multiple checks. And they're saying the reason they want this is so that they can implement this fee system, and and that they would be separate fees being paid. I guess it's a system where they don't accept one check anymore. They're
Right, but
moving towards a new
Ms.
system.
Reddy, as long as we're on that, and you've just informed us, you've told us how USCIS is planning to implement all of this in the phase system. So since there have been a lot of conjecture around the B1, B2 visas, where do those visas fit in the phase?
There's no
Because they're
change.
on the lowest priority right now, as much as you've told us.
There is no change happening with B1, B2. We are talking about the fees. We're talking about grace period. So with reference to B1, B2s, I don't know, are you talking about interviews? Or are you talking about
I mean,
You in
both
visa
visa slots
interviews
and
or?
because we're not, I mean, I don't think anybody who's trying for a B1, B2 is even, getting a visa slot. The
Oh,
USCIS,
so you're talking about visa
saying.
slots. Yeah, visa
Right,
slots are still at the bottom of the pile. They have to get through
right.
the work visa and the other visa categories before they
So
get to.
F1s and work visas are on the priority, obviously.
Correct. Yeah, that still continues to be so because they have to
Right,
prioritize. You can't put
right,
everything in one slot.
right,
But for the B2, with reference to what I was talking about, which is online filing, etc., if people are filing a I-539 extension, they can file it online if they're doing it on their own. And they also have the ability to pay the fees online. So there's some
right,
forms which already are online, naturalization, I-539. These are some of the limited forms. If you're doing it yourself, you can do it online. But if you're doing it through your attorney, then the attorney will have to file by mail because they don't have the option of filing online. Because they know that people who file by themselves are lesser, so they're trying to do something that is in phases, so slowly. So they're implementing the smaller part first, and then hopefully they will, you know, uh, give that to the other categories.
right.
Um Also, medicals. Another update is medicals should not be submitted with interfiling cases. They've made a special announcement on this, and they've made it several times, but they have again recently, a few days ago, when we're filing for transfer of underlying status. That means if you're having a 485 and you filed the 485 based on an EB3 I-140 petition, but now you want to transfer that EB3, that 485 to EB2 approval, I-140 approval that you have, that's called interfiling or transfer of underlying basis. So when you do this interfiling, a lot of people are sending their medicals as well because they didn't send them previously when they filed their application.
Right, right,
But they are saying that there is no purpose in you sending the medicals. Instead, just get the medicals done and keep them so that when we request them in an RFE, then you can send them to us.
right.
Because unless they request them in an RFE, we cannot send them the medicals, unfortunately. And that is why I have always told my clients and everyone who will listen to me that when you file a 485, don't file an incomplete petition. Even if it takes a few days longer, wait to get the medicals, wait to get the birth certificate, and then file it. If you file an incomplete petition, what will happen is that they will send an RFE. But the thing is, they will not, even if you respond to that RFE immediately, they will not process it immediately. And if there is an RFE due on your case, they will put it at the back of the line. So while all your other friends will most probably get their case processed and their case will move forward, your case will just be sitting there because it's in line for an RFE or it's in line for RFE review. And by then, the visa numbers may become unavailable and you will be stuck because the visa numbers may retrogress. So never file an incomplete 485 petition. Do yourself a favor and file a complete petition with medicals, birth certificates, everything that you can think of to avoid, an RFE, an obvious RFE. We know when we'll get an RFE.
Right.
So sometimes clients are in such a rush to file I don't know why they're in a rush because, a few days doesn't make a difference. You've been waiting a long time. Do it
Yeah,
right.
but I think it's the American dream that makes everybody do
Yes,
that.
but you want your American dream to
Right,
come true as soon as possible, and you're
right,
not achieving that by filing an incomplete application.
right.
You're
Yeah,
doing yourself a big disservice, so don't do that. So anyway, they've warned us, don't do the medicals with the interfiling cases. If you do, the medicals will not reach your case, your file, and they will again send an RFP.
okay.
So that's another, they've said that before, they're just, reiterating that. And a lot of my clients ask me every single day, oh, can we send the medicals? Even after after they hear from me, they know it, and they send me an email saying, oh, I heard about this, that you're not supposed to, but can we send it? So anyway,
Wow.
then another update I wanted to give you was there's a bill introduced in the House by Democrats, and that would allow undocumented immigrants who've been living in the United States for at least the last 7 years to legalize their status. Remember, this is just a bill that has been introduced. It has not been passed.
That's right.
Um, And so what they're doing here is that they're changing something known as the registry. There's already a law which says that people who are not legal in the country can become legal after a certain number of years. What they've done with this law was created in 1929 by the Congress, and in 86, the last time it was updated was in 86, where they said people who came before 86 can legalize themselves. Then they changed it to 1972. They said people who came before 1972 can legalize themselves. So pretty much it's useless right now, because most people who have come before 72 no longer are alive, or whatever. So there are very few people who are actually using this registry act, because very few of them really exist now.
Right.
So according to government data, 58,000 became green card holders in 85. In 89, 11,000. In 1990, only 2,000. And in the 2000s, only 911. So you can see
But the numbers going down.
just drastically. Now it's, I think, almost close to zero.
Wow.
So they've what they've done is the Democrats, they've with a vote, a total of 46 Democrats have endorsed the bill, and they've said that 1970 date should be moved forward, so that anyone who comes before 7 years, so what's that, 2018? So 2008, is that 7 years before? 2014, I guess, right?
7 years, right?
Yeah, about 2014. So anyone who comes 2014 or after can legalize their status. They're expecting that about 9.6 million of 11 million undocumented immigrants can get a benefit of this if it is passed. So it'll be very useful. This is another amnesty or that kind of bill, legalization kind of bill. One of the numerous that the Democrats have tried to pass. The bill obviously is going to face strong opposition, and it may not get the required 60 votes in the Senate. But this is kind of this bill represents the strongest support in decades for what used to be the routine practice of updating the registry date. People have forgotten about it completely, updating this date.
Wow. Very progressive then.
Yeah, so somebody has remembered it at least. Let's see what happens.
Right.
They've forgotten about this registry act completely, but let's see if that helps in any way. I think the last but not the least is that an update on all the lawsuits that have been filed. So, not surprisingly, May 2022, so the month of May, the federal courts recorded 647 immigration-related lawsuits for agency delay. And this is the highest number of such cases filed in a single month. Since they started keeping track of this, there's a Transactional Record Access Clearinghouse, TRAC, and they've been keeping record of these numbers since October 2007. And since that time, this is the highest number of individual cases filed by people whose cases have been delayed. So generally they file a writ of mandamus, asking the court to help, asking the court to force USCIS to give a decision on their case, because it has been overdue and beyond processing times. So May has seen the largest number of such cases, and we're not surprised. And delays are due, of course, in part due to the COVID pandemic, and because of the recent resource crunching. We've been talking about this in other episodes as well, that they don't have enough money. In the past, at least, now they seem to have enough from USCIS, what USCIS is telling us, and they're hiring people. But yeah, it's a result of that, the increase in processing time. And so the number of immigrant-related delayed lawsuits continues to climb because of that. For the year 2022, we've so far had 6,276 cases. Compared to last year, there were 4,000 cases last year. This year, 6,000 cases.
Wow.
So you can see that, it's progressively increasing every year,
Right.
number of
Yeah.
lawsuits that are being filed. And this is not good for USCIS also because it takes up a lot of their resources and time because they have to represent themselves at any court
That's
hearing. They have to
definitely
go to
putting them in a
court.
bad light as well.
Yeah, puts them in a bad light. Also, then their resources are used for this purpose because they have to send an officer to represent them in court. They have to make multiple court appearances. They have to respond to they have to respond to the judge in writing, have to file several motions and petitions. So it's not easy. And if there's 600 of them, that's not easy to deal with
Yeah,
in a single month.
definitely.
So they have taken some measures, such as they're going on a hiring spree. They have lengthened the automatic extension of work authorization for those delayed cases. So now, if your case is pending, and under certain circumstances, you can get um, an extension of 540 days on your EAD, which we have discussed in some previous episodes. So they've increased that from 180 days to 540 days. So taking
Right.
some measures, but I don't think it's really enough because as per this report from TRAC, they're saying that the filing of this mandamus petitions is really the only way for individual people to get recourse if they continue requesting USCIS for status and USCIS does not respond or doesn't give them any status or does not, approve or deny their case, does not adjudicate the case.
Right.
And this has been exacerbated further by employment-based cases. We know that, employment-based cases, filing immigrant cases,
Right.
485 filing has increased significantly because the visa numbers are more, because the family-based visa numbers from outside the country, those have decreased. So that has fallen into the employment based. And so India mainly is benefited by increased number of visas because they're most backlogged. And so because so many cases are being filed, USCIS is not able to keep up.
But
So
I mean, that's a good note for us. I mean, I know that things have not been moving really fast or really quickly, but then there is progress. There are, like you said, there's a bill being, that's introduced. I mean, if not passed, I mean, there is, things are going towards a progressive direction. And with that, on that high, I'd like to, conclude the show for all the immigration updates that we've gotten today and for the cautions as well. So, like always, it's always a privilege to host you, Ms. Reddy. The amount of humongous information you share with our viewers and the do's and don'ts that you always give us are of high value. Thank you for being on our show, Ms. Reddy.
thank you, Tony.
You're watching Sakshi Live, and this is Thorni. Thank you.